So let's say the person that you're married to heads off on a business trip to Tasmania. Now let's also say that during this trip, your government has a military oopsie where they're testing out a weapon that goes off right in the area where your significant other is staying. Now, the mainland of Australia does put together a group that will go in and take care of the bodies. You, as a person from the country that originally caused this issue, has the opportunity to go and help out with this and potentially find your significant other's body. Is this something that you'd be willing to go and do? Well, this is actually what happens in the movie that I reviewed today on Askewed Reviews. If you didn't already figure it out, the movie that I'm talking about is the 2026 film We Bury the Dead, directed and written by Zach Hilditch. In the film, our main character of Ava, played by Daisy Ridley, is this significant other who discovers that while her husband was on this business trip, the US was testing out this weapon that, when it went off, managed to shut off everyone's brains. Now, it doesn't take long for the military to come in and do two things. One, look into what happened here, and two, clean up. But they have allowed people from the mainland to come and help assist with this. Even though she's an American, Ava decides to sign up for this, mainly due to the fact that she wants to find out what state her husband is actually in. And that's because he may not be fully dead. Something that the military has also been discovering is that some of the people's brains are coming back on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's them or that they're safe to be around. Ava also discovers that she's going to have to be patient, as the area where her husband was at is not going to be explored for quite some time. Now, the actual tasks that Ava and the others have to take on are going into every house and building, and if they find a body, bring it out so it can then be buried. And if they find someone who's been brought back, they have to send up a smoke signal so that one of the military members can come over and take them out. One of the people that Ava gets partnered up with is a man named Clay, who, from what she can tell, does seem to be a little bit of a rule breaker. This ends up being something that she is interested in, not in a relationship, but as someone who could potentially help get her out of this military area and all the way down to where her husband is. These two do manage to escape under the radar without the military finding out. They then head off towards the resort where Ava's husband is located. But along the way, they'll end up running into some very dangerous situations that may or may not be from these people that are brought back, and also discover some interesting things about what has happened to them. In my own opinion, this was a very interesting and really different take on a zombie film. I like how the undead in this, even though they were very prominent at times, almost felt like a side note to what was actually going on here, as there was so much with the story and the characters, and what the movie was really about was the journey. There were definitely some times throughout the film that were maybe a bit slow going or potentially a little stale, but in general, there were a lot of really good story beats and a couple of things that, had your adrenaline pumping. But more than anything, it really was the story of what's happening in this situation because I find, I find it so funny that this movie was such a big FU to America of like, I think the beginning is even stating like, "Oh no, America made a mistake with one of their weapons in this area," and it's just like, "Oh God, of course it would be us." But there were also times that this movie reminded me a lot of Civil War, the film that came out like a year or two ago, where there's that whole, can you really trust the military and what's actually going on here, and just that warlike feel. I also thought their take on the undead was really interesting just because of what's supposedly going on there. And oh God, the fact that they're in this weird, almost feral state, or at least progress to that. And just as they're kind of grinding and crunching their teeth together, it just becomes a noise that's not only a little bit fear inducing, but also just like nails on a chalkboard awkward. So, all in all, this is a movie I definitely recommend checking out. There were some sequences that I think were supposed to be a surprise or a shock that I was able to figure out pretty easily. but I'm pretty sure that's more just due to the fact that I watch way too many movies. I also did like the story and I really liked some of the characters. I'm also very happy to see that Daisy Ridley is doing something else besides Star Wars. Now, I know she has done a few other things, but something this prominent that's not connected to Star Wars, that just makes me happy to see. So, at least for me on my scale, I'm going to give this film a 3 out of 5. I feel like it was very close to being a 4 out of 5, at least for me, but there was just maybe a couple of pieces missing there. Now, if you've already seen this, let me know what you thought about We Bury the Dead in the comments. And this one may still be in theaters, but if you can't catch it there, definitely check it out once it's streaming. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And even though you're not aware of this, be thankful, as I was originally going to open up this episode with me doing my own impression of that teeth grinding, gnashing noise that the undead do in this film.